first tell us what Lab Space is.
Do you want me to take it?
Sure.
Lab Space is an artist-run art space in Hillsdale, New York, sort of in the middle of nowhere, but halfway between Great Barrington, Massachusetts, and Hudson, New York, where we live. And it was founded by artist Susan Jennings in 2014, actually in her backyard in Great Barrington.
So you've been running it now for about 3 years.
Exactly, since 2018. And she calls it more than an art gallery.
Yeah, so I've noticed that before. What does that mean exactly? What sets Lab Space apart from your typical art gallery?
Well, I think because it's artist run, we're more like about connecting people and getting people to show up and come and meet each other and spend time there and grow like different communities. And I don't know, you want to...
More than a commercial space, maybe,
Exactly.
would be invested in having, like, most of our followers are artists.
Right.
And so the shows are primarily focused as the artist, as the viewer, rather than like the big collectors. And we've been having that too, which is wonderful. We've had some success there as well, building our collector base. But connecting and expanding the community is something that we specialize in, and something that SJ specialized in when she founded the space.
I actually wanted to then bring us now more into the present, because I know you just recently opened your Kurt and Courtney show at Lab Space. And from what I understand, it's a set of photographs that come from this 1992 photo shoot by the Guzman photographer team, but they were photographing Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, who were famous musicians from the 90s. Even if you're not Gen X, like, you know who they are. And I've seen images of these works, and they're just incredible. What do you think is so special about this show, and what do you think visitors are looking for when they go to see it?
I think we have lots of different visitors looking
Yeah.
for lots of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we have a huge Instagram following now of like Kurt and Courtney
Just
fans, which
Amazing.
is kind
So
of
there's
unexpected.
that whole layer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole separate thing that we didn't foresee. People writing to us from literally all over the world, begging for more images, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then a lot of those people who are in the States are driving from all over the country to see the show. And then there are the local artists and art lovers that generally come to
skeptics.
the space, and skeptics.
That are like, what is this?
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think.
Yeah,
People-
so tell us a bit about the people who love the work and the skeptics, and maybe tell us too, like, what do these pieces look like in person, right? Because it's not just a digital reproduction of the photographs. They are like physical objects that you go and see.
Right.
Yeah, Guzman is really amazing. Guzman is Connie Hansen and Russell Peacock, and they're a couple who work together. They've worked together for over 30 years. And they're artists. They do art photography and lots of different types of photography. But in the 90s, they were really popular to go on these commercial shoots. They were hired by Spin Magazine to do this shoot in '92. But the thing that's interesting about these photos, number one, they're mostly outtakes. So mostly photos that nobody has ever seen before from their archives.
Oh, wow.
And number two, they are still art photography. They're printed on Japanese rice paper mostly. There's a mix of Polaroids, and then some older silver prints.
Right.
Right. So I can imagine that
Original.
they have this
Original.
kind of raw, sort of matte quality to them,
Right.
not like that glossy sort of
Right.
black and white that you typically envision when you think of like celebrity shoots. or something
Exactly.
like that.
So it's quite different than what people generally expect. So they show up and they're sort of surprised to see how the images are printed and the artfulness, and some are collages, and then we also have photos spanning their entire career of 37 years. So yeah,
Which just scratched the surface of
Right.
what things they've done. So
totally
Right.
you really get an overview of them as this photo art duo.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It sounds like what the Guzman team is doing, or was doing also in the 90s, was kind of blurring the boundaries between like what is considered formally art, what's considered photography, what is pop culture, and what's like kind of fine art or high art culture. I've also seen images of your work as artists, and I've been struck by like this mix of, you know, acrylic and found notebooks, or, you know, gouache and envelopes. Tell us a little bit about like how your art also breaks down some of these barriers between different categories of art or different categories of like creative making.
You should talk about your work.
Well, we both like to use unexpected materials, definitely. So that's kind of a fun place we like to dabble in and to experiment in, definitely.
I'll pour paint on anything.
Yeah.
When I first
Will you pour
met,
paint on me?
if you wanted me to. When I first met Ellen and saw her work, you were mostly doing collage of magazine pages. And her work has changed since then, but I think it's kind of interesting because she was coming from a publishing world, and it's sort of along the lines of how Guzman are taking photography but turning it into sort of a more tactile art form. And we're actually installing our work together.
Yeah.
Coming up very soon.
And this is at Lab Space? where you're gonna
No,
install
we
it?
never
Okay.
show our own work at Lab Space.
Okay.
But we have a duo show. Well, it's actually a three-person show with Susan Carr coming up at Cedar Crest College in Allentown at
Great.
the end of October.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm sure viewers will look forward to seeing that, and also too that you leave your space open to other artists to exhibit their work at Lab Space, which is really great. I mean, that is the definition of community, right? Is
It
allowing
is.
other people the space to express themselves and
I
be
do
seen
want to
and
see
heard.
the art. I just want to don't want it to make it sound like it's like sort of like a community crunchy granola kind of space. Like the artwork comes
Heaven
first.
forbid.
Well, I mean, we focus really heavily on emerging and mid-career artists in the area and in the Hudson Valley and Columbia County. Capital Region, Berkshires, there's just so many.
So really like local,
Right.
very much regional. Why is it important to support early career and mid-career artists, and on top of that, ones who are coming from the region or the area?
You know, you have to be part of the environment you're in. So I would say that maybe 80% of the artists that we show are in the area, but we don't want it to be insular. So we also like to
Okay.
bring artists from other areas, but not just the city. We're not just trucking artists from
Right.
the city, because that's also something that we have a little bit of a pet peeve about. Like, if
Why,
you're-
and why is that? Why is it such an issue to just kind of truck in artists from the city?
Well, I think that it's very easy to show tried and true artists who already have built a
Right.
career and are showing in the city, but there's so much art all around us. I mean,
There's so many great artists just right in Hillsdale.
just right
it's
here.
crazy.
I know, in Hillsdale.
So-
Yeah. We had a
It's
Hillsdale
fun
show.
to just mix all those people up together and then, see what happens.
And you
it's like-
expand communities
Right.
that way rather than keep things insular also. Because if you're just bringing people from the city, then it's like, okay, their city friends may come. But when
Right.
you're bringing artists from the area and from other parts of the country or from other areas that aren't quite as local, then you're sort of connecting communities.
Right.
And
Right.
that's something that we're more interested in.
Yeah, it's almost like you're creating new networks and new centers
Right.
for
Right.
artistic dialogue that they're not just like the city is the center and then it just sort of
Right.
spreads
Right.
from
Well, that's
there.
just the thing.
That's
old model
exactly
Right.
for-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
yeah.
are pushing, I like what you said, we're pushing against this idea that the city is somehow the center. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
in some ways it might be, but it's not up here.
It doesn't have to be anymore either
Right.
because of the internet and everything.
Right.
We're all so connected that it seems more exciting to me too. Not to
Totally.
feel like you have to be that in that one place and that's it.
And we learned that during COVID, you can
Yeah.
really be anywhere.
I was about to say that
Exactly.
with COVID and everything, and people not only working from home, but also like people are migrating from cities to rural areas and vice versa, and people are moving around and realizing I don't have to be only in New York or LA
Right.
just
Totally.
to do this thing. Yeah, yeah. So what kinds of programs and what kinds of events do viewers have to look forward to?
So Upstate Art Weekend takes place August 27th to the 29th, and we're going to be open 12 to 6. That's Friday through Sunday, and 60 spaces in the Hudson Valley region. 60 other art spaces are going to be open that weekend with extended hours, and it's sort of a self-guided tour that we're thrilled to participate in. And then as
Amazing.
part of that, Connie and Russell of Guzman are going to do well, it's not a talk, but they're going to be at the space from 1 to 3 on Sunday the 29th at the gallery to meet visitors.
People have a chance to just meet the people who made these photographs. That's really cool.
Yes, and I want to mention that Guzman, the couple, actually live 5 minutes from the gallery. So people have this idea that we've
Yeah.
sought out these celebrity photographers from New York or LA, but they live right here in the Berkshires.
It was such a pleasure having you both on A House for Arts. It's great talking, and thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you so much for having
Yeah.
us.